Hello, I am Mick Menas. I live in Ayia Napa, Cyprus. I grew up around the entertainment industry thanks to my father. I own my own theatre here in Cyprus, where me and my amateur dramatic society star in original plays that I write and direct, and I also act in. So I know a lot about acting, creating stories, and doesn't make me an expert, but it does give me some knowledge of the situation. So today, I want to talk about that Variety article we had this week, exposing lots of problems during the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom production. But I don't really want to talk about that portion or that facet of the article. There was a part of the article where Variety start talking about James Gunn having less autonomy, less control over DC Studios and DCU than Kevin Feige has at Marvel Studios because of the Max, the formerly named HBO Max platform, and how Casey Bloys and his team have a lot of say-so on what goes on that platform, even when it concerns DC. Basically, I think that's the biggest nonsense. I believe creatively, James Gunn is in total control of creatively at DC Studios. If you look at the Guardians trilogy, Gunn was in total control. He's pretty much said when the studio used to give him notes, he used to chuck them away. Nobody tells James Gunn what to do. It's as simple as that. Did Casey Bloys and his team have any say-so on what happened in the Peacemaker series? No. That just smells totally of James Gunn. And that's a good thing, because Peacemaker, as far as I'm concerned, is James Gunn's best work thus far. So I don't agree that James Gunn is not in total creative control of DC Universe and at DC Studios. But I do believe that DC Studios and DC Universe will be a lot more of a democracy than Marvel Studios. I believe the downturn in quality at Marvel Studios in the MCU has been from the day Kevin Feige was appointed president of Marvel Studios. It became a bit of the dictatorship, and now everything is Kevin Feige Productions. He's the dictator. He is in charge. Now, people think that's a positive move. When they say, well, James Gunn's not in total control, that's a good thing. Anything that has a dictator running it, that has someone who doesn't listen to the voices around them, believe you me, when I'm writing one of my productions for me and my amateur dramatic society to do in my theatre, I listen to outside voices. Now, Dick Donner, during the making of Superman the movie, had an editor called Stuart Baird. They used to argue. Dick fired him 5, 6, 7 times and brought him back again. Because, as Dick said, he was his voice. He was his conscience on the movie. So if Stuart felt that Dick was going to make a dumb decision, he says, no, you can't do that. And they used to argue. That's a good thing. Disagreement, creative disagreements is a good thing, as long as you're friends afterwards and you understand it's best for the product, for your art. And I think that's very, very important. As I say, I think what hurt Marvel Studios, that it became a dictatorship. There's a reason that Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the MCU had more quality than anything since Feige became president of Marvel Studios, and everything is a Kevin Feige production. So I think you've got a good partnership at DC Studios between Peter Safran and James Gunn. It means that they can work together and they can tell each other when they think the other one is making a dumb decision. That's what you need. You need a conscience. You need that voice in your head telling you when you're making a bad creative choice. So I think partnerships are much better. The MCU doesn't have a partnership. It has a dictatorship, and Kevin Feige isn't listening to anyone around him. So his situation is going to get worse and worse and worse. I made the prediction at the beginning of this year that Kevin Feige will not be the president of Marvel Studios by the end of this year. He recently told Variety that he thinks he's just getting started, that there's so much untapped potential in these Marvel characters. Well, thus far, since he's been president of Marvel Studios, it hasn't been great. So we'll see if he's going to start to listen. But in terms of, Max having some creative say-so in what James Gunn does, in terms of what he's doing in DC Universe and at DC Studios, let's look at the projects, Paradise Lost. Who do you think decided? Paradise Lost was happening, right, on Max. James Gunn. Booster Gold. Who do you think made that decision? James Gunn. Lanterns are kind of a true detective-y kind of lantern show. Who do you think made that creative decision? James Gunn. So creatively, James Gunn is in control. Because it's obvious. It's obvious from the decisions that are being made. So for them to say at Variety, and they've been saying this for such a long time, that Blois and Max have got some kind of control. They don't. Casey Blois is in charge of Max. He makes most of the programming decisions. But in terms of DC, I would think that Blois has very, very little say-so when it comes to DC content. And let me be clear. When I say James Gunn's in creative control, I'm not talking about Matt Reeves' The Batman cinematic universe or Todd Phillips's Joker universe. He has nothing to do with any of that. But, he will be a producer on Joker Folie à Deux and The Batman 2 and Penguin. But a silent producer, because after all, he's a co-CEO of DC Studios, yeah? So Peter Safran will have his name as producer. Probably there'll be executive producers on those projects, which basically means non-creative producers. But when it comes to the brand new DC universe, yeah, Gunn is in total control. Whether that's on Max or cinematically, that's the way it's going to be. Nobody's ever told James Gunn what to do creatively. He is, people call him an auteur. I'm not sure if he's a typical auteur, but certainly he has his, ideas of what works and doesn't work. He's been very ultra critical of the MCU as well, and really trying to convince us all that this is not the MCU 2.0, but this is something new, which I absolutely believe. James Gunn, I believe, can make a success of this. No matter that I disagree about the way they've tried to sell these remaining DCEU movies, the misinformation, the half-truths, I don't agree with any of that. It doesn't mean that I don't respect James Gunn creatively. And what he's trying to attempt to do, I believe it can work. And it's good to have many voices and listen to a few opinions, but ultimately too many cooks also spoil the broth. So you've really got to have a balance in that kind of democracy and understand that creatively James Gunn is in total control of DC Universe, which is this brand new cinematic universe, which will be a total reboot using some of the same actors in the same roles, but their history in the DCEU doesn't count, because Barry Allen rebooted the DCEU universe, which is now DCU. It's as simple as that. It's not confusing. It's not strange. They're trying to reset the narrative. But to be clear, this will be the third attempt of trying to reboot the DCEU. They tried it with Justice League, Hamada. The reason Hamada greenlit the Flash movie for another reset, which he never got to do. And James Gunn's DC Universe will be their third attempt to do this. But unlike Hamada, unlike John Zumberg, I believe that Gunn has a great varied of knowledge in comic books, and he's a good storyteller, and he's a really good director. So I think there's more, there's more chance of Gunn being successful at this than the other people who have came before him attempting to relaunch and reset what Snyder did. This is a brand new universe. This is going to look very different to the DCEU we had before. But also, what we're going to see here, because I think you have got a good chance with someone like Gunn being in control creatively, but there's been an accusation of superhero fatigue. What we're going to see now, if James Gunn does fail, I think the superhero fatigue thing is going to be a more factual thing. So we'll see if what James Gunn is doing actually is going to work.